Hey there, my friend. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever side of the world you are in right now. Thank you for listening to Beyond the Daily Grind. This podcast has been titled this way because I want you to know that beyond the daily grind, there truly is meaning, purpose, and a way to live life in spite the difficult, the routine, and even the monotonous. So, we are still on our series, Run in Such a Way, and today's topic is Forget and Stretch. I know, two seemingly negative words put together in a title cannot be good, right? To some degree, it might be difficult, but you know what? When you're ready, that's when things start to happen. Better things like healing and progress. Paul said in 1 Corinthians 9:24, "Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one receives the prize? Run in such a way as to take the prize." When the translators were trying to translate this Greek word, hutos, they had a hard time doing it because some words really don't have an exact translation. Just like in the Filipino language, we attach this word po, spelled as P-O, po, as a term of respect when we communicate with those who are older than us or those of higher position. For example, if a teacher asks a student, "Have you eaten yet?" instead of just answering yes or no, the student will say, "Yes po," or "po," or "no po." Now, the word po doesn't have an exact English translation. So maybe some of you don't know that, but there are some words that just don't have exact translations. You translate the language based on the context, the entirety of the sentence, right? So not word for word, as some of you might guess, but so it's translated that way. Some language just don't have an exact translation. So you have to think about what the message is trying to say though, and reword it or translate it, okay, in a way closestly possible. So going back, English translation, no, we don't have that. But the closest translation you can have for the word po is yes, ma'am. It's like saying yes, ma'am, yes, sir, although it's not the exact translation. So here, they use the word run when they said, "Do you not know that in a race all runners run, but only one receives the prize? Run in such a way as to take the prize." So here they used "in such a way" to express the intent of how we're supposed to run. You're in a race, so you run in such a way so that you may get the prize. Now, part of running in such a way is to press on and through. And we talked about this on our last episode. Today, let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let me say that again. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Three things from our past that we cannot get rid of, but we need to know how to deal with so it's not causing obstruction as we try to move forward in our lives. Can you imagine running with shackles on your feet? Just picture it. It looks uncomfortable, right? It certainly is unnecessary. It should not even be there in the first place. Imagine that posas, shackles on our feet. It's absurd. Who's going to run with shackles on their feet? And yet, how many of us are running right now with these invisible chains shackled on our feet? It's called the past. And while not everything in the past is bad, sometimes there are things in it that may be holding you back. In the past, there is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start with the good. These are things in the past that are that good. When you got monetized on YouTube, maybe, or maybe when you got promoted, when you had awesome ideas and solutions, when you came up with methods that served you well in the past season. How about victories, accomplishments, ties, relationships you've formed? Honestly, who wants to move on from that? And that can be a problem. You see, even good things, when they begin to hinder your growth, it becomes bad. Even the good, when it holds you back from the best life that God intends for you, it can become a curse. It becomes heavy. Next is the bad and the ugly. These are mistakes, failures, what else? Guilt from what you did not do or should have done. Maybe past sins, or maybe just bad experiences that you may have had, or even traumatic ones. How about bad ties or relationships? Now, I've mentioned relationships twice because in the past season, this has either been a good connection or a bad one. But either case, it has started to become a baggage. And it's obvious how toxic it's become, maybe. And so, it is time we need to lose it. St. Paul the Apostle told us to run in such a way. He also had things to lose too, just like us. On the bad and the ugly side, because of his misplaced zeal as a Pharisee, he formerly persecuted the Christian church, even dragging both men and women to prison. When you study the book of Acts, it says there in Acts 8:3 that he began to destroy the church. When you go backtrack a little bit in Acts 7:58, that was when he kept watch of the garments of those who stoned Stephen to death. And he was approving of his execution. This righteous man who did nothing wrong, but he was just a follower of Christ. Okay. So he had that misplaced zeal. He thought that what he was doing was for God. And so he started persecuting the church and even dragging both men and women. So guilt must have haunted him at some point somehow. What bad things, ugly things do we have that we need to lose, that we need to forget? As for the good things, for Paul to be a Pharisee, that means he is the cream of the crop in the Hebrew religion. When you're a Pharisee, you become, it's like you're in the clergy, almost like you're in the top, you're in the lead category. Okay. And he was that. He even said, he even claimed that he's the cream of the crop. He's one of them up there. He said that as to righteousness in the law, he was faultless. How many of us can say that? I know I can't. But here, that's how disciplined and accomplished he was in what he was doing. He was faultless. But he understands that even that he needed to leave behind. He needed to let go. You just can't run dragging stuff with you. Can you imagine yourself running with a sack of potatoes? Go ahead. How about a basket filled with vegetables? Again, let me remind you, you're running. Imagine yourself running with this. It's crazy, right? Now imagine carrying people, maybe a friend. How about your ex in your arms and you're running? Or maybe if you're mad, you're trying to drag them instead. Picture that in your mind. No matter what you're carrying or dragging, whether it's a basket of vegetables, whether it's a sack of potatoes, whether it's people, it's a person, whatever it is you're dragging, it's not going to work. It's dead. It's heavy. Friend, there is a finish line waiting for you. A better life. God's best. But you know what? You can't get there unless you let go of what's dead in your life. Or maybe what's not working anymore. No matter how good it has been. Paul decided to run towards his best life, aka follow God's call for him. And he has decided to let go of both the good and the bad in order for him to do this. Philippians 3 gives us a window to this sentiment. And then he says on verse 13, brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it. He's saying, I know I'm not yet there. But one thing I do. Take note of what he says next. Forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead. NASB translation says, reach forward, strain forward, reach forward. Question. What's in your past that's keeping you from moving forward? Let me repeat that question. What's in your past that's keeping you from moving forward? Is it something good? Something bad? Something ugly? Paul says, I forget what is behind. When we think of the word forget, we think of the word erase, right? But this is not the case. This is not what Paul is saying. Treat it like it never happened, because it did. You felt what you felt. It was, what was said was said. What was done was done. What happened already happened. It did happen. But when Paul said forget, I forget what is behind, Paul was saying instead, from the Greek word epektinumenos, is to neglect. It means to neglect. When you neglect something, your mind is not constantly on it. You're not all over this thing that happened. You're not all over this person or this situation. When you care about something, you're all over it, right? Every second if you can, because you care about it. You're nurturing it. That's what it means. Okay? So the opposite would be not to nurture it. It means you're not nurturing the thought or the idea. Yes, it did happen. You may not be able to erase the past or change it, like the bad, the ugly, maybe even the horrible. But you don't have to nurture it either. There was a man who was caught stealing sheep. As a punishment, they branded him on the forehead with the letters ST, which stands for sheep thief. In Tagalog, magnanakaw ng tupa. Sheep thief. Okay. Wherever he went, people talked about him. Here comes a sheep thief. Oh, here's the sheep thief. It was a painful punishment. Time went by. He finally died. You wouldn't believe his funeral was attended by so many people. They lined up one by one, and when they came to see his casket to pay their respect, as they stepped forward, they could see the scar on his forehead. They could still see the letters there, ST. They went away with nothing but good things to say about him. They even thought ST stood for saint because of how he lived. Amazing, isn't it? You may not be able to change what's in your past, whether it's what you've done or what others have done to you. But believe me, you still have your best days ahead if you walk with God. As for the good things, it's already served its purpose in the past. Now don't miss out on growth and what's better just because that stuff worked before. It's not God's will that you get stuck in the past. You know why? Because He has placed before you a good future. John 10:10, Jesus said, "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." In the New Living Translation, it says, "My purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life." The good, the bad, the ugly, forget them. Don't nurture it. It's time to move on. And here's the thing you do next. As you forget, as you don't nurture it, as you move forward, as you let go, you lay hold of God's best for you. Paul said, "Here's what I do. I forget what is behind and I strain toward what is ahead." In other translations, it says, "I look forward, I stretch forward, I lengthen my stride." Go back to the title and look at the picture. Come on. Take a second to look at the picture and the title of this podcast, this series. That is what reaching forward looks like, the runner. Can you see the angle? He's angled forward. He's reaching forward. And that's what it looks like, right? When it says lay hold of God's best for you. It's effort, man. But the best is over there. And it's worth it. I was browsing YouTube one time. And you know how it is when you scroll down, and some of these videos, they would just start moving and playing. Okay, even if you didn't click on them. So when I was trying to scroll down, when I was browsing one time, I happened to take a glimpse on this video which says a runner wins by diving onto the finish. Okay. I thought it was just a funny video or something. But just today when I looked at it, I found out it is a verified win by an athlete named Shaunae Miller. Shaunae won the gold in the 400-meter race, I think, back in the 2018 Olympics, if I remember it right. Now, the funny thing about this win is that she beat her opponent, the closest one to her, because there were two of them that was real close to the finish line, by 0.7 second. Not even 1 second, but 0.7, mind you, by diving onto the finish line. Girl, why you do that? You're crazy, right? But that's what she did. It's that kind of awesome you don't see every day. And she's the perfect example of what it means to stretch forward and lengthen your stride. You see, this has been a special win for her because just the previous Olympics, she had some type of injury. And so this race has been a real stretch for her. And her persistence paid off. Now, what does it mean to look forward, stretch forward, and lengthen your stride in your own life? How can you apply that how can you apply that principle in your own life? How can I apply it in my own life? If it's mistakes, learn from them. I've been saying that again and again since this series started. If you go back to the past series, everybody makes mistakes, but not all of them are learning from it, right? And we have to learn, we have to understand mistake that's happen, but we have to learn from them. How about past sins we've committed? It says there, if you just repent, turn around. You see, forgiveness and salvation is a free gift. Jesus already paid the price with his life, so we don't have to pay with ours. That's how much valued we are in God's eyes. If it's something people said you can't do or achieve, then you persist. You know what they say when they say you can't, show them you can. So you persist about it. You show that you can do it. Even if it's hard, but you can do it. And if it's something, how about something that the terrible things that may have happened in the past or people have done to you? If that's the case with you, ask God to help you overcome the trauma and to forgive and move beyond. As for the good, let the good parts of the past encourage when you look back. Let it encourage you. When you look at the good memories, let them warm your heart. But don't get stuck with that too. Sometimes you gotta move on. Even from those good things. Even from those good associations. Not because you're mad at people. You're not leaving them behind because of any conflict. But because you have a race and a place to go. And where you're going, maybe they just can't go with you. They're not the people that God has meant for you to run with in your next season or walk with you in your next season. And so you have to move on and keep growing. Now, when I say that, move on from these good things, from these good associations, even these good associations, I'm not saying you cut the bridge. right? It probably just means you spend less time. Because you're not going to nurture it. Okay. It served its purpose already. But the thing is, you need to move on and keep on growing. My friend, the good, the bad, and the ugly is behind you now. God is offering you a brand new day. Take it. Look forward, stretch forward, lengthen your stride. But most of all, press on toward not just any goal, but God's best for you. That's what Paul pushed for. And in my own life, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to push for God's call in my own life too. And I pray you'll make the same decision. You'll make up your mind to do the same. I'm not gonna settle for the past and even the good things of the past. I'm moving on forward. I'm pressing on to something better, to the best. Not just better, not just my plans, but I'm pushing. I'm going to reach for God's plan for me, for God's best for me. Make the decision. God bless you, and watch out for the next episode here on Beyond the Daily Grind.